All right. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We teamed up with the Cipher Voice, Napolean Edwards, this past Sunday to get out and ride around and look at the old Holiday Inn Southwest Hotel. That's a postcard there from 1962 when the hotel was built. Here's a picture from the mid-90s. This next thing coming up here, you can see there's an old ad for the hotel. And here's where the drone footage is going to start. This is the back of the property facing, that's I-20 at the Ellis Avenue exit back there behind it. So we decided to get out there and just check this thing out. And it's one of the reasons I bought this drone is because I knew this property was back there and I knew the scope and size of it because I'd been to a high school homecoming or prom or something back there in the late 90s. And we used to go to car shows. I believe it was the Dixie Rodders used to throw a car show there every year in the fall. It was just cool cars wrapped all the way around the property. But as you see here, there's five structures there. Right here to the left with the black roof, that is the old convention center where you have dances, night concerts, all that good stuff. This front part was built later on. Not sure when exactly, but it's devastated. It looks like Beirut. So we're getting the drone up here on the, I guess it'd be the east side facing west. There's people living in this middle structure here directly behind the big building. We saw 4 or 5 folks. If you look really hard, you may be able to see some of them in this footage. I haven't dissected it quite to that point. You got the pool there, just an absolute terrible condition. I mean, it just all needs to be, but there's no salvaging this. There's no saving it. It needs to be bulldozed. It is a public health hazard. And it's owned by a church here locally, of course. And that church is, and I've got the tax roll here in the back of this, but just for the sake of conversation right now, that is a local Jackson, Mississippi church. It is the Pearl Street Community Development Corp., which is the Pearl Street AME Church in Jackson, Mississippi. So the church is not on the tax rolls or is not having taxes collected. So it sits there. It was going to be made into some type of retirement home or community center or something of that nature. And of course, that never came to fruition. So now it just sits there and is being overtaken by vagrants and junkies and prostitutes and who knows what else is going on there. Like I said, this is directly behind the interstate there. All right, so I'm going to tell you all a little bit more about the hotel. I said it was built in 1962. It's 90,537 square feet. It has 289 rooms. And if you'll see right there, right behind the pool, there's a balcony. That used to be like the presidential suite or VIP suite. I mean, we used to rent that and have parties and stuff. It was incredible. Some of the highlights that I found online and when it was for sale back in 2006, it was 16,000 square feet of meeting space in 10 separate rooms, restaurant, guest laundry, swimming pool, 175 interior corridor rooms and 114 rooms with exterior corridors. So that would be these back rooms in the back, and the front would be the 175 interior rooms. It's a 5-story tower at the lobby building. It was remodeled in 1998. Y'all, that was only 22 years ago. 22 years ago, this was remodeled. And now it looks like Beirut. And if you remember Beirut in the 80s, there was no worse place on earth. It was nothing but shells of buildings left after all the bombing and war and everything else. It's the closest thing to 1945 Germany that we've probably ever seen in our lifetimes. And that's what Jackson, Mississippi is beginning to look like with all of these blighted properties. I do want to thank my buddy Napolean Edwards. You can find him at the Cipher Voice across Facebook and YouTube. He came out here with me, and I do recommend something here, man. If you guys are, I know that we've influenced people after they've watched our videos to go and do some urban exploration themselves. Just letting you know, if you decide to go out there, Please take 1 or 2 people with you. I highly recommend, not going without your side piece. And I'm not talking about your other girlfriend. I'm talking about your weapon. And here I just got some photos with the drone, just some still photos here. I just wanted y'all to see the size and scope of just how bad this was or is. And we didn't even really get into looking around the building because it was just, frankly, it was dangerous. And I didn't want to drive my car around or leave my car anywhere. That was the old sign that's out front. Here's coming up the hill. And you can't really see this from the road because it sits up a hill. But there's the rooms. That's one of the buildings that loop around the pool. That would be the old convention center or the main part of the hotel. Right there, dead center is where we saw some people kind of wandering around. That used to be the restaurant and the entrance to the hotel there. It's terrible. It had a loop around. You could walk all around this stuff. The broken glass, needles, stuff everywhere. Coming up here in one of these next pictures is this huge manhole in the middle of the driveway. Of course, nobody needs to be driving back there, so it doesn't really matter. But if you were just pulling up to check it out and you didn't know it was there, your car's not coming out of that. Your front wheel falls in there, you're getting a tow truck. Here's the tax rolls. If you look on the very bottom down there, 2649 Highway 80, owned by Pearl Street Community Development Corp. Here's a story about the hotel catching on fire back in 2017, but it was already abandoned at that point. And here's another story from WLBT where Nina Holbrook, who ran the Jackson Metro Area Coalition, said it looked like Beirut, which is funny. I'd been saying that. Well, look, thank y'all for following. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the Cipher Voice and the Save Jackson YouTube channels.